How are we doing today? This is Brian Yates, ASC Certified Master Tech, 30 years experience. Today I'd like to help teach you how to DIY like a master. That's right, do it yourself using master's tips, the stuff that shops and dealerships don't want you to know. So let's get right into it. Today we're going to work on belts, tensioners, idler pulleys, and things like water pumps, things like that all pertain to the belts. Let's get started. Here we can see we have a common belt situation going on here. This is a 1998 Ford Explorer. We're going to take this belt off, going to inspect the pulleys, the water pump, the tensioners, and see what we've got, what we have to work with, what we need to look at replacing. And it's stuck. There we go. And first we're going to take off these wires. Be very careful to push the button and in and then pull back. Then they'll release real easily. Less breakage that way. Pop this breather hose out. Slide it out of the way. Make our wrench here. Loosen the clamp. And we can remove the air intake. Set it out of the way. Someplace you're not going to trip over it. Now we can see the belt. Down in here, we can see the belt is frayed, coming apart. I don't know if you can see that on camera. Alright, so let's get started. Remove this belt. First thing we want to do before we remove the belt, take a look at the clutch fan. Is the clutch good? Does it have play in it? There's very little play in this clutch. It's not excessively loose or flopping around, but I do see cracks in the plastic housing for the fan blade. So if that's something that can be replaced, we probably should replace it before it flies apart and takes out the radiator. We don't want that. Very expensive. Repairs we don't want to do. Well, not if we can avoid it. Now this particular model uses a square tip, just like a regular ratchet, to loosen and tighten the belt. Okay, get it the right direction. Yep, that way. All right, let me pull this back. Slide the belt off. Release it. We're going to pull the wrench back out so it's not in the way. Now we can remove the belt. There you go, crankshaft. Okay, now we've successfully removed the belt. And what do we see? Well, here's what we can see on this belt. Right up here. There's a fraying going on. Multiple places. This belt is very old. It's time to replace it. Let's take a look at the inside. We can inspect the grooves. I don't know if we can get a spot where you can see the grooves in the camera. But the grooves got a lot of cracks going on in it. Right down in this area, we want to look for cracks. And here we're looking for cracks, missing teeth, or grooves. This belt is worn out. A lot of checking going on in the back. So we know this belt definitely needs to be replaced. This is something that'll leave you stranded on the road, and we don't want that. All right, let's get this camera over here and take a closer look at what we got to see. All right, so first things we want to check out. Down here, got an idler. Idler pulleys are very important. They keep the belt going in a proper direction and tension. It has a little bit of play. Let's see if she makes a lot of noise. Oh, she's making a lot of noise. See if we can get this down here so you can hear it. Hear all that noise? That bearing is bad. Dry. Needs to be replaced. If this bearing comes loose, this pulley will come off and your belt will come off. Belts come off, belt's damaged. You're stranded. And here in Arizona, I don't know about a lot of other places, but here in Arizona, that's a bad thing. You don't want to be stranded in Arizona. Okay, here's our tensioner. I'm going to move this back and forth. See, the tensioner's up. Oh, we see play in there. See it right here. When I pull on that, it moves. That's moving back and forth. That means it's not correctly aligning with the alternator or the crankshaft down below. There again, since we know that the tensioner itself is bad, we're not too worried about the pulley, although it probably is. But most of the time, the tensioner and the pulley come as one unit. I come up here, and here's the alternator. We can see that there's damage to the wheel, but that's been that way for a long, long time. It didn't seem to damage the belt. Alternator's nice and quiet. That's what we want to hear. Moving over to the left side, we can see here, see a lot of oil buildup right here. See all that? Down inside here, there's a seal down behind this clutch. That seal is the front seal for this shaft, for the AC compressor. Oil showing up in this area right here signifies that that seal is leaking oil and freon. Pulley's nice and quiet though. When you playing it, maybe a touch. But I'm not. I'm thinking that pulley's good enough. We can get by for a while. And the air conditioner does work on this vehicle, so just have to keep it recharged. Keep it charged. Okay, down below here, a little harder to see, is the power steering pulley. This is going to be firm and stiff to move. And what you're looking for on power steering is not side to side play, but in and out. See, there's a little bit in and out there. You can hear it popping. Okay, but we see down in here along this pulley, see it down there? It is dry and clean. That's a good sign. It means the front seal is not leaking. And it rotates nice and easy. Not fighting me in any way. All right, moving on. Let's go down here and see if we can get a good look at this water pump. All right, find a spot here where I can see the water pump pulley. Here's the water pump pulley right here. And we're going to do the same thing we did with the clutch fan. We're going to lift up on the fan blade and down, push back on it. See if there's any motion in that pulley. No motion in the pulley. That's a good sign. Now we're going to give her a spin, see if we can hear. Oh, hear a dry seal squealing. See if we can do this without smacking my fingers. Hear it? Got a dry seal starting to make noise. It's not leaking. But we do know it's going to be just a matter of time before this becomes an issue. No play, no leakage. See, she's nice and dry back here, if you can see it. Nice and dry. No signs of moisture. And no drips on the ground. So we know the water pump is going to last for a while, at least. Maybe we can get another year or so out of her. All right. So we know. Put this back in here. So what we know right now is we do need a tensioner and an idler. I don't have a tensioner and idler on me. I'm doing what's called a level 1 restoration on this vehicle. So I'm going through, making a list. We're going to repair and replace anything that needs to be replaced. That includes brakes, axles, CV axles, drive shafts, whatever, U-joints, CV joints. We're going to go through and see if everything's good on this vehicle, make sure it's legal and safe to operate on the roads and off-road. Okay, so since this is something that I am not going to repair right at this moment, I'm going to go ahead and put the new belt on so I can move the car around and work on other vehicles. So now we need to make a list anytime we're going to do some repairs. After we do the inspections, let's get the make, the model, the year, and the engine size that's printed on the tag right here. On this tag, it's going to tell you down here at the bottom or someplace in it that this one is a 4-liter V6. Now, and when you include all that, go ahead and include the VIN number. That way when you go to the parts house or the store where you're buying parts, most of them have a program on their computer where they can input the VIN number and answer any questions. This particular model of vehicle has 3 different 4-liter engines. This one is an X. This one is the high output. But if you get the wrong engine, you'll get the wrong parts. We don't want to do that. We don't want to be ordering the wrong parts for our vehicle and have to be put off for another week or so trying to get the right ones. So at this time, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this new belt on. I'll show you how we get that done. And then we're probably going to call it a day and work towards our next one. As always, like and subscribe so I can get this message off to all the other DIYers that need to know how to get this done. You know, more and more these days, things are costing more and more and harder for us to get along in this world without having to pay high dollar auto repairs. So if I can help you, let's get this message out to people so they can learn how to do this the right way. You know, in every repair, diagnosis is the number one thing that matters the most. All right, so let's get this belt put on. Now right here on this one, I have right here, so that we don't forget, they have the belt diagram, shows how the belt is routed. Almost all vehicles had them in the older days. I don't know if they still do, but a lot of the parts houses, they have a program on there. When you buy the belts, they can get this printed out for you for your vehicle and engine. So don't think this is something that you can't do because you don't know how to put it back on, because there's other ways to find out how this goes if the factory stuff is no longer on the vehicle. Yeah. And of course, new belts never want to work with you because they're folded the wrong way or whatever, from being in a cart and sitting on a shelf. So don't be discouraged. Just take your time. It will pop into place eventually. Back around. Get down in power steering, up over the air conditioning. And I like to thread it up over the alternator. And we'll have our idler right here. Make sure everything's where it needs to be. Get our wrench. Alright, and pull this dude out as far as you can. We're going to take this new belt. I like to take my fingers, push it down, in, and hopefully around. There you go. Come on, and around the idler, and she's on. Now, one more thing we need to do before we say, okay, it's good, and put it back together. Get this wrench out of the way here. Grab this camera. Need to make sure at all times before starting it up, this belt is perfectly in line with the pulleys the way it's supposed to be. So we look down here, power steering. It's on the power steering correctly. On the air conditioning correctly. Back over here in the grooves. We can see here on the alternator, it's fully into the alternator. The tensioner down here, which is hard to see, but it is in on the tensioner. Now the hardest one to see is going to be down there at the bottom, and that is the crankshaft. Let's see if we can get an angle. Get way down there at the bottom. It is wrapped around the crankshaft properly on this side. Oop. That is coming out of the crank down there below, fully into the belt pulleys. So this belt is properly on. Once you start it up, the belt is going to center itself on the idler pulley. This idler pulley and the water pump pulley. These are smooth pulleys. They don't have any grooves, so they will center themselves. All right. Let's get this air horn back on. Put that back in there. Yep, right here. Okay, now stand up. Okay. Make sure you plug back in anything you unplug and you get the horn off. Make sure it clicks so that you know it's in. Here's our breather goes all the way back in. Mass airflow sensor. Back in. Good solid click. Okay, so there again, like and subscribe so I can help get these messages out to other people who like to know how to do it-yourself auto repairs. This is Brian Yates thanking you, and you have a nice day.